All right, good day. We shall be continuing with our class on budget under public sector accounting and finance. We shall be continuing with budget, and today, as you will see on your screen, I have a question here, and this is the question we shall be solving now. I will be solving other questions in subsequent classes. So please do not miss any of these classes. Do not miss any of the classes. All right, so let's go straight to the question. The question states that the Ministry of Finance of Ojeja Republic prepared the aggregate medium-term expenditure framework. That's MTEF. That's medium-term expenditure framework budget for consideration by the National Assembly as contained in the country's constitution. Full stop. The following are the MTEF actual budget estimate and the approved budget estimate by various sectors been thoroughly screened by the budget committees of the Senate and House of Representatives. You remember in our last class, I was talking about this screening by the Senate committee, screening by the legislative arm before they can approve it. Okay, so that is a fraction of it that we are seeing here. Let's go to the figures. Now, these figures, the figures are as given. We have the summary of total budgeted expenditure by sector for 2020. We have the sector code, we have the sector name, we have the actual estimate for 2020 in millions, we have the approved estimate 2020 in millions. Now we have the administrative sector. We have the number 2, we have economic sector, we have the law and justice sector. Each one of these sectors has their personnel costs, overhead costs, consolidated revenue charges, capital expenditure, etc. All right, so the next one, regional sector, and we have summary of total expenditure by sectors. We have it down there. All right, so what are we expected to do? What are we expected to do? The additional information says, number 1, administrative sector, all costs at incremental basis of 15%, except for capital expenditure, which will increase by 10%. All right, number 2, economic sector, all costs at incremental basis of 25%, except for overhead costs, which will decrease by 5%. Take note. Number 3, law and justice sector, all costs at declining basis of 5%, except for personnel costs, which will increase by 10%. The next one, regional sector, all costs at incremental basis of 10%, except for consolidated revenue charges, which will decrease by 15%. Now, what are you required to do? You are expected to do what? You are expected to prepare proposed budget estimate for 2021, 2022, 2023 based on the approved estimate for year 2020, and you have 20 marks for that. Now, they said we should look at the approved estimate only. So you're not going to look at the actual, you're going to look at the approved. All right, so let's start our workings here. You start by typing. So this is how you're going to set it. All right, so we are starting with sector code 1, which is administrative sector. All right, under administrative sector we have personnel, cost, and we have how much? 40,000. Now under approved is not 40, so excuse me, approved is 34,000. All right, then we have overhead, overhead cost. Under approved, we have 21,250. Then we have consolidated revenue charge. We have 15,810. Then the next one we have capital expenditure. Capital expenditure. Under approved, we have 53,040. Is that correct? 40. All right. So, since we have this, what is the instruction given to us in the additional information? In the additional information, they said under administrative, which is the one we're working on now. Let's look at it. It says all costs at incremental basis of 15%, except for capital expenditure, which will increase by 10%. All costs at incremental basis. That means in year one, you're going to increase it by 15%. Let's use this simple calculation equals, let's bring this one here, multiply by, now this is what you do. You say 1 point, how many percentage? 1.15, that's 15%. To give you this value here, then you will do the same thing here. Whatever you get here, you multiply by the same amount, 1.15. To give you an amount, do the same thing here, because multiply by 1.15. So that should be it. No, sorry, something is not correct here. Not 1 minus, it's 1 point. Correct. So this is your value for personnel cost. Okay, and we are doing the same thing for the next two, isn't it? Okay, let's check if it's correct. Okay, this is correct, and this is correct. All right, so the only one that we have that they said we should change is this one, which is going to be what? Increase by 10%. So you're not using 15%, you use 10. Use 10%, and equals this one multiplied by 1.1 to give you an amount. You come here and say equals this one multiplied by 1.1 to give you an amount. So this is it. Now at this point, you're supposed to have an addition. You're supposed to have a sum of everything. Equals this amount to this amount. Close the bracket. Okay, that gives you a figure. Bold it. In fact, you're supposed to bold all this. Okay, so you can decide to do it like this. Okay, to give you the figure here. All right, so we already have that of administrative sector pen out. Let's go on to the next one. So we have the economic sector here now, but what is the instruction for economic sector? Always look at the instruction. The instruction says economic sector all costs at incremental basis of 25%, except for overhead costs, which will decrease by 5%. So let's go to overhead. We'll decrease it by 5%, or let's increase this by 25. Increase this by 25, multiply by 1.25. That's how you do it. That's how you press it on your calculator. All right, this will give you this. So the next one equals this one multiply by 1.25. Okay, this will give you this. The next one equals this one multiplied by 1.25. all right, that gives us that. On that, you can make it faster. Undo, copy, and this. Let's see. I think that gives us the figure we're looking for. Is it 1.25, 1.25, 1.25? Correct. 1.25. Correct. Okay, so this is the one that will decrease by 5% according to the instruction. So this is how you do it. Equals this multiply by 0.95. Is that correct? To give you an amount which must be less than the one before. Equals this multiply by 0.95. Okay, this will give us an amount also. Equals this multiply by 0.95. So that should give us what we're looking for. If you look at it, it is on a decreasing trend. So let's come here and look for their totals. That's the total, and by this we are done with the economic sector. All right, so we have set the law and justice sector. Okay, so what is the information? Law and justice sector, all costs at declining basis of 5%, except for personnel costs, which will increase by 10%. So we're going to decline or decrease other ones by 5%, except for personnel that will increase by 10%. Where's personnel? Increase by 10%. All right, so this equals, bring this one here, multiply by increase by 10% is 1.1. right? So this will give you this. Okay, go to the next one, equals this multiply by 1.1 should give you an amount. This also equals the one by the side multiply by 1.1. all right, so that's the only one that they said we should increase by 10%. The remaining we're supposed to excuse me, but decrease by what? 5%. So you come here and do equals this multiply by all right, so every other one is decreasing by 5%. So this one times 0.95 will give you an amount. Bring it here again. Was this multiply by 0.95 give you an amount. Okay, next one was multiply by 0.95 to give you an amount. Okay, you can as well do this. Okay, so let's confirm 959595 is correct. So this value is correct. So we are done with law and justice. All right, so the next one we're doing is the regional sector, which is here. So what is the information on regional sector? Is there any info? Okay, we have regional sector number 4. All costs at incremental basis of 10%, except for consolidated revenue charges, which will decrease by 15%. Let's first do the one that will decrease by 15%. Consolidated what? Revenue charges 15%. So is this one? You say this value you multiply by, it will decrease by 15%. That's 85%, Abby. All right, multiply by 0.85. That should be the value. Okay, so we have this. The next one, this amount multiplied by 0.85, and the next one is this multiplied by 0.85. Okay, so this will give us this value. So other ones, what is the instruction again? Incremental basis of 10%. So we're going to do incremental basis of 10% for all this now. Incremental basis of 10% multiplied by 1.1. That's the meaning. Okay, equals this multiplied by 1.1, and this equals this multiplied by 1.1. Okay, we have this value. I just do like this, and do like this. Okay, so that gives us this. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is that we will now bring all the sectors together and call the sector summary of total expenditure. Summary of total expenditure. Hold it. So you bring, okay, by sector. We're supposed to put by sector. By sector. So we'll pick them. The first one is administrative, and we'll pick the total. Let's take the years. Let's put the years now in millions, so that we'll label them like that. Bring them down here. Okay, then we'll now come here and write sector. The first sector is personnel, is that correct? Or administrative. So, or let's pull everything together. Personnel cost, overhead cost, because the question says prepare proposed budget estimate for this on the approved day. So we're going to be putting all the sector now, overall of this. That's what we're putting. Let's just carry this from here, bring it down here. So we have the personnel cost, total for personnel cost. That's what you're putting under 2022. You understand it? So now we will now come here and pick all the personnel costs from each of the sector. This plus this plus this plus this. And that'll be all. Then you say for overhead cost, start from 1 overhead. This is overhead 1 plus this. That will be all. And this, the next one, consolidated plus the next consolidated, or the first one, let's put the first one, plus the next one, plus the last one. Okay, the next one will be what? Capital expenditure. Plus to this. So since you have this now, I'll just copy and enter here. It will give you the figure for this. Copy. Enter here. It will give you this. Then copy and this. So to now give you the summary. I'll give you the summary of this thing. So we have a total of this here. I can copy it and bring it here. So what you do now is you can bold it. Alright, so this is the summary of the budget for Ojaja. Is it Ojaja? What's the name of this thing again? Ojaja Federal Republic. You understand it? Okay. Right, and that's the end of the question. With this, you score your 20 marks. All right, I hope this makes sense to us, and I am very sure if you have any question, please do not hesitate to let us know through the chat box below. Do not hesitate to let us know through the chat box below, and we will respond to you immediately. Thank you, everyone. See you in my next class. The next class I might be taking either personnel budget or cash budget or overhead budget or revenue budget. Any of this is the one I will pick in my next class. So I will see you then in my next class. Thank you so much. See you.